morning. So sorry for this. Wow. I just didn't have time to put my makeup on before I did this. Because this is important. Important. So salute all the frontliners, which is everybody everywhere. Everyone's doing an amazing job. This is just important for the ladies because a girl's gone missing in London near Clapham Common. She's been missing for a week, and I just flicked on the news because it's to do with what I'm doing. That's the only reason. I'm not on anything else, but I do occasionally watch the news just to catch up. And yeah, so this girl's gone missing. She's still missing, but overnight, the police have made a statement saying that they're questioning a current policeman, basically. So thinking of everybody that's to do with this case, because the sound of the statement doesn't sound great. But what's come about from that, and I've said it before, so you can refer back to one of my earlier videos, because I've given the numbers on this before, because we've got a massive problem with domestic violence and violence against women and girls. They also had a baroness on, because there's a new piece of legislation, the domestic abuse bill, that's going through. It's going to be approved in the next few weeks, which will help. But my point was, as much as it'd be nice for this not to be a problem, it is a problem. And it's of such a magnitude that everybody should be vigilant. And what I mean by that is there's 1 in 3 girls in the world are currently physically or sexually abused. And that's down to children as well. And obviously, I think there's very much a vibe of, it's just between a husband and wife, or man and woman, and behind closed. And this is, I'm talking from personal experience, so I know exactly how this goes. And you feel like whichever way it is, in whichever male, female, whichever combination, because it can be it's not just a man to a woman, is it? But that's the most common. And they're so manipulative, and they break you down to such a point that you feel like you can't say anything to anyone. They kind of isolate you. They isolate you from your friends, isolate you from everyone, your family. And then you just feel, and also they manage to convince you that they love you still. So they convince you that they love you, but still do all those things. And you believe it because you want to believe it. You want to believe it because of all the things that we've been talking about, because of all of the addictions that we all have to so many things, and then add them all up together, your decision making and clarity and focus and brain power is so inhibited by all of these things that it really makes believing the lie easier. Because the truth, even though deep down, the worst thing is deep down I knew all along, I just didn't want to believe it. And it just got harder as time went on. You know, because then you're like, oh, I've got kids. You know, and then that's even worse. Because then you're settling. You're settling for that. You're settling for that life. So really, I'm going to tell you a story. When I was at uni, I was studying law and criminology in Cambridge. Not at Cambridge, in Cambridge. There's another university there. And the first year, there was a girl in my criminology class. And I'm going to try and keep this, I'm going to try not to swear, because this is really important that this gets out there too, and for girls as well, because and also boys, just everyone really. So go back to this story. Sorry, it was New Year's Eve, and I was actually in Reading at the time. But I'd phoned up to speak that all the people from my class had gone out in Cambridge on New Year's Eve. And I'd phone them up at midnight to speak. This is like, how long ago now? 19 years. So I'd phone them up at midnight to speak to them all, and I'd spoken to them all. And this girl had, after this call, so I spoke to her, wished her Happy New Year. And after that call, she decided she wasn't a massive drinker or anything, or partier or whatever. So she decided she wanted to go home, and no one else wanted to go home. So she got a taxi. She went outside of the bar they were in. I think they were in Walkabout or something like that. Not Walkabout, they don't have Walkabout. It's one of them. It's a chain. And she got out, she was waiting outside, she hailed a cab. Obviously, it was early, so it didn't take long to get a cab. And then she disappeared. And they couldn't find her either. They couldn't find her body. And she was all over the national news for a good while, a couple of weeks, all the time. And then they found her body, and it was dumped near the. I remember exactly because I've actually been to this. It's near there's an American cemetery there, near there, because there's an air base, and she was just dumped there. And as it transpired, the person that had picked her up was not a taxi. It's just somebody pretending to be a taxi to make money. And she'd obviously called someone to try and help. But nobody heard, because they were all drunk, because it was New Year's. And then obviously it just reminded me, because of this girl that's gone missing. She's walking home on her own through Clapham. So really, my point is this. We need to all be very aware of this. Down to, for women and girls, they should not, you can't be, unfortunately, it is of such a high level. And you don't want to like cause, panic or anything, but it's just being vigilant. Like, never, just don't walk home at night on your own. Don't, even down to meeting Tinder dates and I know, plenty of fish and all of that shit. You don't know who you're meeting. People just create fake accounts. You're putting your life at risk. I mean, you literally are. If it's specific, particularly if you're not meeting them out in a public place, these kind of things. I mean, these are the levels that people are going to. You just need to be careful. 1 in 3, at least once, is physically or sexually abused. Like, that is a lot. So if you're in a household and you haven't got it yourself, you're not experiencing that yourself. Well, if you've got children, your children could. And actually, if you're in, and this is part of the reason that I ultimately had to end it. Even though he's using my children against me as a weapon now. But I had to end it with him because even though I knew it was going to be a fucking nightmare, and still is, I thought I can't. If you're in a relationship with somebody and you're in this abusive relationship, whether it's verbally or physically, your children will see that. You might like to think that they won't, but they will. They'll hear it, and they'll probably see it, and that's going to affect them emotionally, and then essentially they're a victim of it as well, just by being witness to it, because they won't understand, and they'll be like, why is daddy doing that to mummy, or vice versa, or whatever. And also then the other thing is, then they can start doing things to each other. They can start abusing each other, and it doesn't help anyone anywhere of this keeping this tight lip. This keep it behind closed doors. That was another thing that his side of the family was like, don't talk about your business to anybody. You just feel like you can't say shit to nobody, and then you're just in a prison. You're in a mental prison. And that doesn't help you, it doesn't help your children, and it actually, on a wider scale, it doesn't help anyone anywhere, because people are so afraid of speaking out that no one speaks out, hence why it's got to 1 in 3. So I suppose my advice on that, I'm going to put some links into signs of abuse, because the more that we can help each other to pick these signs up, it might, because if people are afraid, then it might make it easier to ask to spot the signs, and then ask them, try and help in some way, or stop it in some way, or but at least if everyone's vigilant, it might, something, you know, it has to, something has to change. And as I said, the way I've said this before, but I'll say it again. The way to get them, if you want to get out, which you should, because nobody should ever settle for that. And there are many people that will help you, many charities that will help you. Everyone's a lot more, that's obviously on the news at the moment, everyone's a lot more aware of it. So there are so many people that will help. Even if you think that there is nobody, that's just not the truth. There are, because that's the other thing, they'll convince you that nobody, you know, you've got no friends, nobody's going to help you and all of that. But that's just so far from the truth. So get a camera. You can get these micro cameras. They're cheap. I'll put a link in. Get a camera. If you're being beaten the shit out, sorry. If they're doing this to you, if they're psychologically abusing you, if they're physically abusing you, if they're sexually abusing you, get them on camera. Get them on camera. This is going to come through in the next couple of weeks. Get them on camera and fucking have them done. Just get it. Then there's nothing, because the first thing they'll do is try and make out you crazy. It's like standard, because that'll be the only thing they've got left to go, or that you made it up or whatever. They can't say shit to you if you have it as evidence. So just get one. They're like, you can get them for like a tenner. Hide it somewhere. And if you've got more money than that, get a few to put them around. They're like a centimetre square. Yeah, get it. Do yourself a favour. Because sitting there in misery is not helping anybody. It's not helping yourself, and it's not helping, ultimately, if you've got kids, it's not helping them neither. I'm not trying to be, I'm just being real. And that's just from my experience of having to deal with that for 7 years. So yeah, I'll put in a link to the camera. I'll put in a link to spot the signs of abuse, because if the more the community's aware of it, and the thing is, once you know the signs, it becomes really obvious. And then they were saying about, so don't walk home alone. If you're going to go out on dates with people you don't know, make sure it's somewhere public, and make sure you get dropped off and picked up. But, I mean, and I know it just sounds like proper. I just remember imagining my mum saying it to me when I was younger, but it's a different world we live in, unfortunately, now. And we've got to help each other get, you know. Stop it. So there's that. They were saying as well, like training for police and GPs and banks to spot financial abuse and stuff like that. I don't know about that. You'd have to. I mean, I've literally only just spotted this. I thought, come and do a video. Then, just on a slightly different note, listen. They've spent, I can believe, £37 billion, right? They've spent on test and trace, right? £37 billion is more than it would cost to buy the entire police, the cost of the police and the judiciary. You know what I'm saying. Judiciary. £37 billion they've spent in the last 12 months on test and trace, which doesn't even work, because how many lockdowns we had? 2, 3, 3. and it is cost in 12 months more than it would cost to buy the fucking police and the judiciary. Like, what the fuck? Excuse my language. Plus, that isn't the only cost. I forgot. I thought they've been paying loads, hundreds of consultants, £1,000 a day on top of that 37 billion. For what? What have they been consulting on? I think they need a refund. Like, that is a ridiculous amount of money. That's public money. Like, oh yeah, that's what I was going to do on it. Yeah, I'm going to go through that again. I got sidetracked because I was doing work stuff, learning videos. Because I did say I was going to go through the budget, didn't I? It's 110 pages. I am going to go through it. And I am going to go through the suppliers again. Because they've got to put their list, they've got to put on the government website, they've got to put exactly who their suppliers are and what they spent with each one. And they have to do it, the contracts, they have to do it within a certain time period as well. I think it's about a week. Or maybe that's a bit short, maybe a couple of weeks. So, a cross-reference, just because I get off on that kind of thing. So, I'm going to do that and see if that is, I bet it's worse than that. I'll put money on it. Oh my gosh. Right. Listen, there is something occurring. There is something occurring or about to occur. I am absolutely convinced. All of a sudden, if you noticed, they've started doing air pollution reports on news reports. So they're doing, when they like do the weather, then they've started doing this thing where they put a chart with 10 gradients. I don't know why I'm pointing it like I've got one. 10 gradients from green to red on air pollution levels. And then guess what comes after the weather report? Loads of air purification products adverts. And if you know about the what's it called, the Great Reset, Davos, the Davos agenda, and all those plebs, yeah. One of the thing, if you read up on it, is that these 1,000 of the richest businesses that have decided that they're basically gonna dictate to their benefit. And what the part of the speculation is that they're then there'll be another lockdown. You can see them already talking like there's going to be another one. If you listen to the SAGE people yesterday and the chief medical officer, oh no, it's likely on our modelling and our predictions, it says the numbers are going to go. Watch this space. Yeah, don't matter what anyone does, it will follow those predictions. I'll put money on it. That's what they're going to try and do. And with this Davos thing, with the Davos agenda, it says in if you know about all of that, the World Economic Forum, that's it as well. It says they're then going to use the lockdowns as a way of controlling climate change, and obviously air pollution and all of that. By being in our houses, we're not out on the roads in our cars, etc. So it just seems very interesting that just as they've gone back to school, they're spending a fortune on a company that has not done a job, that costs more than the entire fucking police force and judiciary. And that's not including those. And if you factor in the Great Reset, Davos Agenda, World Economic Forum, their plans for keeping people at home as a means to control climate change, and just the population at large. And then all of a sudden they're doing air pollution reports for the first time ever on this gradient thing, followed immediately, unsurprisingly, for a media company. This is how they work. To start promoting air pollution purifiers for indoors. So I bet they're going to make up some kind of air pollution. It's going to go up so that all the people that are advertised suddenly on our TVs, they're going to make a killing, aren't they? Well, that's what they'll want. And then everyone will be again, better stay in because the air pollution. Literally, these people need to be shot. I'm not even joking. Anyway, on a lighter note, ladies, be strong. It's hard. It's hard to get out. But you literally, that after you've gotten out, that first bit, once that bit's gone, it feels so much better. Seriously. Can't settle for that. And even if you don't want to, even if you don't want to go down the camera route and taking them down the court route, just get out. You don't have to stay there. There are ways and means. There are. So, lots of love to everybody. Hope everyone has a good day. I'm about to go and have a bath, put my makeup on so I don't look like a dead zombie. And then I'm gonna do some sleuthing, / sort my keep saying I'm just annoying myself every time I say it, like have a verbal slap. Then I am going to, I don't know why I'm telling you what not that you're interested. I'm doing my webinar today. Getting the show on the road. So, hope you have a lovely day. Love you.